Hi, good evening everybody. In this video, we're going to take a look at our final stretch run of last season since the Vegas game. We're going to look at the numbers coming up. This is one of those videos, guys, I wanted to make weeks ago, and I just forgot, of course, because I get these ideas in my head, and if the book's not around and I'm watching a movie, I don't write it down, I forget 5 minutes later, which you think I'd learned by now to have 5 books all over the house, so when I get ideas, I write them down. Look, what I want to do in this video, I want to look at, there's going to be 10 names on this board we're going to look at. We're going to look at the final 24 games of the season, the numbers. What do the numbers say? How did they produce? What are some glaring stats that we might not have even noticed going down the stretch run unless we look at it in black and white? So let's get into this, and I'll explain it as we go along, and this might be the only video I'm doing tonight, so bear with me, guys. Bear with me. All right. So since March the 10th to the close of the season, okay, what are the signs? What are the numbers? What did we maybe not see? Or we knew it, but we just didn't kind of catch it, because when you're looking at 24 games, the only thing we as human beings can remember are who scored and what was our record and how good was the goaltending. That's about it, really. We can remember night to night, but when we think of 24 games, it's hard to, hard to get it all in one shot. So down the stretch, as most of you know, we finished 14, 7, and 3, right? Now, how did the boys do down the stretch? Let's take a look at this. I'll get on this side, and we'll talk about it. All right, so Thompson in 24 games, and there's only one name here, and that's Okposo that played 22. Everybody else played the full 24. Thompson down the stretch, 15 goals, 11 assists for 26 points. Olofsson in 24 games, 11 goals, 12 assists for 23 points. Skinner in the 24 games, 10 goals, 12 assists for 22 points. And Rasmus Dahlin, the only defenseman on this list, because it's Rasmus Dahlin and he's going to get a lot of points. And yes, he is going to be better than Cale Makar. That's it there. I put it out there. I'm so sick of hearing about how great Cale Makar is when I know we got a guy that's better. I just know it. All right, so Rasmus Dahlin, 5 goals, 11 assists for 16 points. And there's Alex Tuch now coming in. I'll explain the arrow in a second. In 24 games, 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. And I said Dahlin at 16, right? Or I didn't say 15, I hope. Anyway, Dahlin at 16 points. So going down to Mittelstadt, 24 games, 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points. Kyle Okposo, there it is, the 22 games, 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points, which is kind of what he did all year, right? Pretty just steady pace with Okposo all year. He might have had, his biggest explosion would be 2 or 3 games, and then he'd be quiet. Like Okposo was very steady last year. He really was. Peyton Krebs next, 24 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points, respectable. He's a kid. Here's the bad one. Dylan Cozens, 1 goal in the last 24 games. I'm pretty sure, guys, it was a power play goal when I was looking up these numbers, because I checked right away. I said, tell me it was even strength, and I was like, oh. Anyway, 1 goal, 8 assists for 9 points for Cozens. But Cozens didn't play as bad as we think. We'll talk about that later. And Rasmus Asplund has to make this board because he was respectable for sure. 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points for Asplund. All right? Now, as we break down a few things here, okay? If you look at, all these top 4 right here, I would say did amazing. These 4 carried the team, the numbers-wise, right? Role-wise, these guys down here did their thing, though. I don't think we can look at anybody of these 10 players down the stretch that played bad, except if we want to pick on Dylan Cozens. We know Asplund's a guy that might get 12, 14 goals a year on a good year. Cozens, we're expecting more of, for sure. But we're going to talk about him in a second, because defensively, he wasn't too bad. He was pretty steady down the stretch that way. All right, so from this point on, what if these guys, what if a guy like Peyton Krebs, instead of getting 4 goals, would have got 8? And Cozens, instead of 1 goal, would have got 8. Asplund, we know he doesn't get more than that. And Mittelstadt, also, let's say, if I said Mittelstadt, I said Krebs, I said Cozens, and Mittelstadt. Well, okay, I think I said Mittelstadt, right? Yeah. Okay, so those 3, if they could have picked up their game, Okposo, that's about right. Even Tuck was kind of under his production. Come on, let's face it. From the Vegas game on, Tuck got, 4 goals in his last 23 games. He's better than that, you know? But let's just say, if all these guys down here would have just maybe 30% more, 40% more, 50%, I don't know. No, because I'm asking for double here, right? No, I want more than that. But anyway, if these guys would have picked that up a bit, how good would have our finish been? These are just questions that go on in my head. Now, what I want to look at here, all right? We're going to look at, well, let's something I want to look at quick here, though. Okay, so let's look at Thompson. Let's times this by 3.5. 3.5 would be 72, like 80, 84 games. So let's just times it by 3.5, do a rough estimate. That means 3.5, he was on a pace to get something like 54 goals here, Tage. So say 52, 53 if you want to be really fair. And he would have been just something like over a point a game, whatever it was. He's got he probably would have been close to about 90 points, something like that. Olofsson would have been about a point a game, 23 and 24, right? And he would have been 33, say another 5 or 6, say 5, say 38. Olofsson was on a pace to get about 38 goals. Same thing, Skinner, they're about the same, say about 35, 36, which Skinner basically did, right? I mean, he was right around there. Dahlin would have been on a pace to get about 18 goals, 48, 58, about 55 point season. So Dahlin kind of kept up his pace, I think. Because once he got on track, Dahlin, this is normal for Dahlin now. This is normal numbers. Tuck was under his production. Middlestat is under his production for what he should be at this point in his career for sure. Especially the way we've seen him close out the year before. Okposo overachieved last year, but did he really? You know, under some good coaching and good atmosphere, Okposo got his, his heart back. Krebs, he's a kid. It's going to take some time. Same thing with Cousins. But Cousins, when I talk about, there he is. He's got 1 goal his last 24 games. And I'm the guy that's saying he's going to have a good year. I'm going strictly on potential, guys. I have proof he shouldn't right here on this board that he might struggle next year. This is the proof right here. I don't think so. He's the one guy in this board I think that's going to flip the script on this. And Asplund basically did his thing, He did his thing. Now, here's the important one for me, guys. Thompson, a -7. Well, let me get the, I'm having so much trouble with those markers now. A -7 for Thompson, okay? Sometimes it's normal. Your top guns are going to be in the minus, especially on a losing team, but still. Check this. Look at Olofsson. He was a +7 down the stretch. Now, a lot of people don't put much money into plus and minus. I do. I always will, to my death. Plus minus is an important stat, folks. It is. Tells you what's going on at regular strength on the ice. How often is your guy out there when you're scored against? Well, he's out there 7 times when we're scored against more than when we score. He's there 7 times less. He's there 7 times more when we're not scored against. So the stretch run for Olofsson was amazing. Skinner, -5. And there's a point to all this. Dahlin, -8. Tuck, -7. And Middlestat, a very impressive even. He was a 0. For me, that's impressive. That means he was not a liability when he was on the ice. Yes, he had 4 goals in 24 games, but when he was out there, and I looked, he had something like 15 hits down the stretch, which isn't a ton, but it means he was engaged, he was playing. Middlestat might have only got 4 goals, but his game was starting to come to life and you could feel it, and this is what it was here, his defensive play. He was not out there making tons of boneheaded mistakes. Okposo was a -2, which is respectable. It is. Krebs, for this team, -2 in like 2 or 3 years from now, I'll be pulling my hair up. Krebs, a -7. Kind of normal. He's young. Cousins, a respectable -2. That was the stat that impressed me with Cousins. So Cousins wasn't lighting it up. He wasn't. We know he wasn't lighting it up. But I'll tell you what, a -2 down the stretch with the schedule we had and the road trips, and it was very respectable. Get this. Asplund, a +6, guys. A +6. So yeah, this video, for a change, okay, is giving some love to Olofsson and Asplund tonight, because this does not lie in my books. And I'm not going to not expose the truth with things. This is absolutely impressive, very impressive, because I was trying to pinpoint why Asplund, he wasn't driving me nuts like he was before. And I was like, so I started digging into Asplund today, and I seen this, and I started doing the numbers. I was like, my goodness, that's what it was. He was playing well defensively. Yeah, the analytics said it, but I don't care about analytics. We can't see analytics with our eyes. We can only read about them after. I don't want to read 5 different stats and time possession and all this stuff. I just want to see the basics and understand, as a hockey player, why and what. That's all. And this, very impressive for Olofsson, very impressive for Asplund, and I'm very impressed with Cousins. And Okposo, not a big surprise. Okposo was responsible all year, you know. But guys, what if if these numbers would have picked up down here? I guarantee all these minuses would have been looked a lot better. But what happens in the future, guys? Okay, in the future, we finished 14-7-3 with 7 out of 10 guys that were leading the way, all in the minus, and we still managed to go 14-7. What about when this changes? Just something to think about, guys. Something to think about. All right, that's it. That's probably it for the night. I'm gonna take out my pooch, get her out for a walk, and I will see you folks. If I do another late one later, we'll see. I plan on watching a movie. I'm gonna go back and lie down, but I'm gonna get this out to you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.